Center. My name is Irene O'Brien. I'm the Director for Elder Services here. We are honored to have Scott Brown, our Senator, here to meet and greet with you. And he's going to just take you away. We gave him a quick tour of the Senior Center. He knows what we're all about. He knows what we do here every day. And we're just really very flattered that he's here. So let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you guys hear me all right? Again? Am I on the mic? There we go. So let me just see. Well, I'll just speak up, but first of all, before I start, I want to introduce you to the boss, a.k.a. Gail. The boss? Thank you. Many of you probably... Sit down. Yeah, sit down. Plenty of seats. Many of you may know Gail from... She's already giving orders. It's amazing. Just like at home. Just like at home. Many of you may know that she was working in the storms, Channel 5, for about, what, 18 years, and it's good to have her out and about with me. It's the first time in our marriage, 26 years, that she's been able to do anything like this. Before I get started, I have a little something special. I'm very pleased to join your friends and colleagues in congratulating you on winning the position of the unofficial mayor of North Attleboro. I'm sorry, North Andover. Attention. No, North Attleboro is actually right next to Rentham, where I'm, obviously, again, I live, but I know I'm in North Andover, even though I'm very tired. One of my best friends lives here, Mike Quinn. I don't know if you Mike Quinn, he has triplets, so he lives over on Abbott Street, if any of you know that area. But anyway, your selection for this position is a testament to your years of experience and dedication to your community. Again, congratulations on this appointment. Wish you the very best. So, Mr. Holland, I saw the unofficial mayor. Where is he? Here he is. All right, thanks. You want to get one?
Yeah, please.
There we go.
Thank you.
When he starts asking for more money, you're in trouble. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for taking time to come. I'm going to be very brief, and then we'll take some questions. I was just had the honor. I don't know if you've seen some of my commercials with Captain Tom Hudner, a Medal of Honor recipient. We just had a nice event over in Tewksbury with him. I'll tell you what, a gentleman who is really a national hero in that he was in the war, in Korean War. He's a pilot, and his wingman got shot down on the side of a mountain. And so Tom, in the middle of the snow, in the middle of the battle, crash landed his plane to try to rescue his wingman. And the thing that makes it so moving is that he didn't need to crash his plane. And this was a different time in our country's history. His wingman happened to be the first African-American naval aviator in the history of our country. And his last name was Brown. And he stayed with him. He tried to get him out. They tried and tried and tried, and they couldn't get him out. And finally, his last words were, please tell my wife I love her if I don't get out of here. And he was, as a result, issued the Medal of Honor. And we recently, Senator Kerry and I were able to join forces and get a destroyer named after him. So one of the first, I think only 13 times in our country's history, a living hero has been given that honor of having a destroyer named after him. So it was wonderful to be there with him. And as you know, listen, our country is facing many challenges, and this isn't the first time. I'm from Wakefield originally, obviously. Know North Andover because of my friends that live here. I've been here before, obviously, care very deeply about not only this town, but many others in the Commonwealth. We're facing some real struggles. When I went down there, $11.95 trillion national debt, folks. It's up to $16 trillion. We're borrowing 42 cents in every dollar. There's an attack brewing where they're going to cut $750 billion from your Medicare. Okay, that's something that I am not supportive of. I have not been supportive of it. I'm going to continue to work to protect it. Anyone who's getting it, by the way, I want you to, let's put the mystery to bed right here. Anyone who's getting Medicare or will get it is going to be grandmothered or grandfathered in. There's no discussion, no effort whatsoever to make sure you don't get those care and coverages and benefits. None. But will my daughters get the same coverage as my mom? If we're going to keep the system viable, probably not. But that's a conversation that we need to have together. It's not going to be a Democrat thing. And I know for all the Democrats in here, You know, there's some good Democrats in here. And there's some good Republicans in here too, and there's a lot of good independents. The one thing we all have in common, folks, is that we're Americans first.
Right.
And the only way we're going to solve these national problems is to work together, right now. And let me tell you something, aside from my marriage to Gail and the birth of my 2 daughters, you know, being your senator has been the greatest honor I've ever had in my life. I mean, to think someone like me, whose mom and dad were married and divorced 4 times each. I lived in 17 houses by the time I was 18, and you've read and heard about some of the abuse and other challenges I've had. Maybe not much different than many of you. The same, I hope, hopefully a little bit different. But those life experiences, I tell you, have made me who I am today. They've given me that foundation, that rock, to know what the value of a dollar is. I know what the value of a dollar is. Each and every day I go down there, I read the bills. I understand them and see how they, I understand them. If I don't, I find a way to understand them. I see how those bills affect Massachusetts, how they affect our country, our debt and our deficit, and I vote, period. Period, that's it. I'm the 2nd most bipartisan senator in the United States Senate. I vote 54% with my party. Every other member of the delegation in Massachusetts votes 96, 97% and above. So what does that mean? It means that, you know, I'm the only guy in the delegation trying to work together to move our country forward because, as evidenced by my voting record, insider trading. I didn't know you could go down to Washington and do insider trading and not go to jail. Just saying, you know, I didn't know that. Maybe you guys knew something I didn't. But let me tell you something, they will now. I was honored to be in the Rose Garden when the President signed that bill to prohibit that type of thing. I'm hoping it went a long way to reestablishing trust between you and us, the people that are working in Washington. And like I said, it's an honor to be there, trying to do the right thing. And the Hire Hero Veteran Bill, that's now law. The 3% withholding, which is doing work with any contractor who's doing work with the government, that stealth tax that was going into effect, it's gone. The 1099 fix that affects businesses, that's gone. The Arlington Cemetery Bill, the crowdfunding bill, these are all things that I've been working on, trying to save the post office, pushing a bill through with Senator Collins, Lieberman, Carper, and I to make sure that the post office will be viable so you can get your mail. And these are the things I'm working on each and every day. The things that people care about right now: debt, deficit, taxes, spending, jobs, national security, energy. That's what people care about. They want to know if they go if their sons or daughters or husbands or wives go off to battle, they're going to come home safely. And if they don't come home safely and they come home hurt or injured, mentally or physically, they're going to get the care and coverages they need to get better. I'm on Armed Services, Homeland, Veterans, Small Business. I'm the ranking member on Armed Services, ranking member on Homeland Security. Work very, very hard to make sure that when we send the soldiers out, they actually go and they are able to do their jobs with the tools and resources that they need to do their jobs well and come home safely. If they're not well, we get them to the Veterans Administration to get those care and coverages that they need. And that's very, very, very important. So I just want to talk about a couple of things, then I'm going to take questions. This isn't a big presentation, it's more to just take questions from you. There's an attack, as I said, and there's an attack on your Medicare. And you know, you hear about the Ryan budget and, you know, trying to attack Medicare. I voted against the Ryan budget twice. Twice. And I also put out an op-ed as to why I did it. I did it because I was deeply concerned about the approach to handling Medicare reform. And in order to do it right, there is a way to do it, but it needs to be done together. A bipartisan, bicameral way in which the President will sign. It's not going to just be ramming it through, you know, and with the scare tactics to scare all of you, and you're all very intelligent people. You know better. You know that you're going to have someone like me down there who's looking out to make sure that you're going to have that contract that was signed, informally signed between the federal government and you to give you those benefits. They're in place. You're not going to be affected at all. With other generations, in order to make it viable, you know, there's going to need to be some changes. But the only way we're going to do that, as I said, is to do it together. So I'm going to continue to do my best. And listen, I don't know it all. I'm going to make mistakes. I said that. The night I was elected, if you've watched my victory speech, I said, you know what, I'm going to make mistakes. And I started right off the bat. I said, my daughters are available on national TV. How's that for a pretty good doozy? That being said, I've learned from that mistake, and I'll continue to learn from that mistake. But I wanted to obviously thank, I visit senior senators, being on the Elder Caucus was when I was a state rep and state senator, being a former selectman, and working very hard in Rentham for our senior center to get that bill looking at Norfolk and Franklin and visiting the 12 cities and towns in my district, you know, it's something I enjoy. Playing pool, you know, having a lot of fun, having events, participating in events. It's important. It's a very important part of who I am, Gail and I both. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to take some questions. So why don't we I'll stop talking, you start asking questions. Yes, sir.
How are you doing in the polls?
Listen, polls, and I worried about polls. When I was down 41 points, I never would have even gotten out of bed.
Yeah.
But I'm doing well on the polls, and as the polls are going up and Professor Warren's are going down, you know, there's a sense of desperation. There's been really, if you notice the uptick in the personal attacks and the distortion of my record, especially, you know, you deserve better. You deserve better. And the one thing I've been thankful for is it's my idea to come up with that third-party agreement where it bars all those third-party ads. So you haven't seen all those outside groups coming in and spending tens of millions of dollars and basically cluttering up your TV screens and your radios. We've been talking about our own records and what we plan to do. I was glad that she signed on with me, and we've kept them up for 6 months, and that's a good thing. So polls are going well. I've been up, you know, 5, 6, and seem to be on a good swing. But you know, I'm running like I'm down 25. Yes, sir.
Senator, the Democrats like to decry hate and labeling and stereotype. Yet that's all we seem to hear this campaign season. How do you personally deal with all the labeling, the stereotyping, the hate that gets thrown your way?
Well, you know what? I have found that there are good people on both sides of almost every issue. Really. I mean, think of it. Every issue you have, whether you're down here at the senior center playing cards, arguing about the Red Sox. You know, I'm a Yankee fan, I'm a Red Sox fan. Hey, you know, you start battling. There's good people on both sides of that discussion. Well, it's on every issue I've found, and there are extremes in both parties. What I've tried to do, though, is treat people with dignity and respect. That base that I learned and the challenges that I learned about growing up gave me, I think, a good foundation to understand what difficulty is, and then also take that difficulty and use it for good. So I just try to deal, as I said, treating people respectfully, and you know, Gail and I are thankful that we have each other. 26 years of marriage, and I'm going to go here, and then I'll go there. Yes, sir.
Scott, may I call you Scott?
Of course, sir, you can.
I accidentally got this book and read it from front to the back. What caught my attention was what you had to say about your early life. I identified so much with that, I had to read the whole book. As a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. I only have one question, and maybe you can remember, if the same question was asked of John McCain. Do you believe in evolution? That was asked to John McCain. I want to know your answer. I know John McCain's answer.
Well, that's a new one.
That was asked John when he was running for presidency.
No, and he was running for president. Listen, all I can say is I believe in God. I'm a very faithful person, Gail and I, and we've raised our kids to be as such. I believe in the evolution of man. And you know, once again, this is an issue, quite frankly, that we're not dealing with at all in the United States.
Yeah, tennis lilies. Yeah, tennis lily.
Let me say further, because the things that are affecting every person on this earth, and especially in Massachusetts, are jobs in the economy. And you need serious people down there talking about serious things. And while this is a very serious issue for many people, faith and evolution and you know, creation, everything.
Global warming?
Everything. Everything. There's so many serious issues out there right now.
John answered yes to that, Scott.
So many people that are very serious right now about dealing with these very important issues, whether it's taxes and spending, our debt and deficit, our national security, how we're going to feed people, what we're going to do about the water, the environment. There's so many things in play right now. Glad you enjoyed the book.
Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. We certainly appreciate having the opportunity to meet you and to welcome you aboard. My remarks will be brief. I certainly have questions, but I have to tell you that as an American, as a veteran, as a union iron worker, retired, I am very worried about this man, Obama, in the White House and what he is doing to us. Not for us, I underscore, to us. He is deliberately wiping out the white middle class in this country and destroying small business all across the country. I work for a small shop in Lawrence, and I see my boss struggling to pay these bills and to cover the problems of EPA, most unsuccessfully. They have literally wiped them out of their money. That is a tragedy in itself. Obama had the nerve to go to Europe and tell the Europeans, America, he said, is not very special. Indeed. Indeed.
Well, let me just add, we live in the greatest country in the world, folks. And there's a reason why people around the world look to us to help with many different types of things. If we get our economic issues under control, our debt, our deficit, our spending, and we come out of this 3-year recession lean and mean, we will be a world leader for others to emulate and follow us as we come out of this economic recovery. Listen, you have agencies like the EPA and others, these unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats that
These are only
circumventing.
The problem is Obama does not like white America.
Well, I don't know if I can go that. I disagree with that, sir.
Let's say before he gets reelected, we will have an opportunity to stand here once again and go boo, boo, boo.
Well, I first of all, thank you for your comments. I have to respectfully disagree. I've met the president. He's a good family man. He works hard. I may not agree with him, but I don't agree with that statement. But we can agree to disagree on that. I just know, though. Let me just finish. I just know that there is a tough economic climate. We have the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world. We have this lack of regulatory and tax certainty where businesses like the business you work at, they don't know what's next. They're battling with a lot of the regulatory agencies, battling with the high corporate tax rates, high cost of energy, the high cost of health care. And these are things where, quite frankly, Professor Warren and I differ on a whole host of issues. And that's why this election is critically important for you and others like you. Let me take the gentleman in the back first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Simpsons goals plan got hastily ignored, and it seemed to be an honest attempt, an honest bipartisan attempt to deal with our real problems. How did that happen?
Yeah, there are many attempts. Listen, the president commissioned the Simpson Bowls, and then he gave a State of the Union, and then didn't do anything in the budget. And his budget failed 100 to nothing and 99 to nothing. There are efforts like that. There's the Simpson Bowls, there's the Gang of Six, there's other members working on a regular basis to try to come up with ideas to step back from that fiscal cliff that we're approaching. We are approaching it. We have sequestration, we've got tax policies expiring, we've got the entitlement programs that are ballooning. There are so many things in play right now that are deeply troubling. If in fact there was a plan like that, once again, it needs to be in a bipartisan manner. If they would bring it up and allow us to work on it, the majority leader won't bring these things up, because if in fact we pass something, then I believe the president wouldn't then be able to blame Congress for everything, and that's I think unfortunately part of what they're trying to push around. I'll go here and then we'll go to you, sir. Yes,
Senator, what is your position on abortion?
Well, thank you. I'm pro-choice, and I have been for many since Gail and I have known each other. There are differences though between, I think, Professor Warren and me on that issue. I'm not in favor of federal funding. I'm not in favor of partial birth abortions. I'm not in favor of lowering the age of consent for abortions like she is. And that's a difference. But I believe that these issues are best decided between a woman and their doctor. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you, Senator Brown, for coming and sharing. We talked a little bit about Medicare and the need to reform Medicare. But what about Social Security? What discussions have been ongoing on the Senate with regards to reforming Social Security? And secondly, what discussions are ongoing right now with the expiration of the income tax, capital gains tax, the estate tax, et cetera, et cetera? That's all expiring at the end of this year.
Well, listen, if you've heard the radio ads, Tax-Mageddon, that I put out, bottom line is you're right. At the end of this year, you're going to wake up on January 1st to a very different country in terms of our tax policy. The child care tax credit is going to be cut down to $500. You're going to have the lower rates going from 10 to 15%, 35 to 39.6%. A lot of the tax policy will change dramatically. That's the fiscal cliff that even Bill Clinton, in the moment of candor, said we can't go close and can't go over. And I'm paraphrasing somewhat, but he's since stepped it back. But I agree with him. We need to address these issues. I shouldn't be here with you right now. I should be in Washington right now working on these things, and I've called for it, I've asked for it, others have as well. And some people, unfortunately, want to go over that fiscal cliff. I think it sends a very, very bad message to our world partners and others throughout the world who are looking at us as role models, economic role models. Social Security, listen, it's stable. Does it need to be fixed? Yes, it can be done, I think, within the system. I don't think you need to raise taxes on the Social Security programs like Professor Warren wants to do. She wants to raise the cap, and I don't think that's necessary at this point.
Can I follow up on that for a minute?
I only have another 10 minutes. We can talk after though.
How do you feel about Todd Aiken's remark about?
Well, you probably already know. I was the first one to tell him to apologize, and I was also the first one to ask him to not run, and was very vocal about it. I came out. It was the first one in the country, and Professor Warren hasn't even asked for him to step down. And that's putting politics ahead of this very important issue. I thought it was ignorant what he said. Yeah.
But she's using it in her commercials.
It's careless.
Are you aware that the moderators for the 3 presidential debates and the single vice presidential debate, they're all liberals, and then the moderators will be the ones that'll give the questions?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of the presidential issues. That's something to refer to the presidential and vice presidential candidates. I know that Professor Warren and I have 4 debates scheduled. I'm looking forward to them. We have John Keller on September 20th doing the first one, and I've asked that all the people who do the debates here in Massachusetts be the ones that be local people. I think that's important. So we're going to try to make sure that happens. What else? In the blue. Yes. Good to see you again.
Senator Brown, thank you so much for coming today. I don't think people realize, Mr. Rosemary when he called to say that he was coming, he specifically wanted to speak to seniors. He wanted an intimate conversation about the things that are important to you. He kind of held us back from really blowing this up and inviting everybody in town. Last time he came, so many people came, we shut down the streets. It was, but he has since been several other times. So I've been on the board for 12 years, and Senator Brown is the only senator that we have met repeatedly in the town of North Andover. So we're really fortunate. We really thank you for coming to our town today and particularly talk to our seniors.
Thank you very much. Well, it's certainly good to come up to North Andover. Obviously, we're running around. We're going from Tewksbury from here into Winchester. Then I head back. I have National Guard duty tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, I've been serving for 32 years. I just got promoted to colonel. I was actually able to have Gail and Senator McCain do my official pinning ceremony, which is then they take the old rank. It was something. Very good. Senator McCain, I'll tell you, when I said, "Sir, thank you very much for doing that," he was deeply emotional and said, "I'm honored. It's something I've never done before, and I'm so thankful to do it." And he's a hard charge, a real mentor of mine, and a good man. So, listen, I wanted to just say thank you for taking time to come out. I have my staff here. We have absentee ballots if, in fact, you think you're going to be away. I think it's important to make sure that you vote. This is a very important election. I'd certainly like you to vote for me, but just want you to vote and be part of the process. It's so critically important. So if you're away or you have kids that are away, you can get an absentee ballot for them. If you're at an appointment or you're down south, I think it's critically important. So have a wonderful rest of the summer, which is almost over, and thank you for allowing me to come. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces. So Gail and I have to head out, but as we're walking out, we'll say hi to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.